All right, welcome to a new episode of Opening Bid. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. Indeed, this is the podcast that hopefully will make you a lot smarter about investing and maybe have a little fun doing it. At least I hope so. Before we get into our interview of the day, let's do our stock of the day. And my stock of the day, believe it or not, is not NVIDIA. It's not AMD. It's good old-fashioned Amazon. Dig me some Amazon into the company's earnings on October 31st. There's some chatter on the street that Amazon may lay an egg on earnings and come out and guide below consensus, and that would make sense. If you go back to when the company reported in early August, stock fell 9% by the close of trading. Disappointing outlook, disappointing quarter. Consumers were trading down. Some fears on the street that those trends continued. It will cause Amazon to warn on the holiday quarter. Obviously, a big, important quarter for Amazon. But I'll just poke a little BS in that for a second here, because we've gotten a lot of signs that the consumer is resilient. Retail sales data good, back to school data good. So maybe, just maybe, Amazon won't lay that egg this time around. But again, there are some concerns out there. Amazon stock down about 3% from those August highs. Now let's get to our interview of the day. Really excited about this one because I dig the company, and this guy literally just started about 30 days ago. Dude Perfect CEO Andrew Yaffe, good to see you.
Thank you for having me, Brian. Excited to be here.
Yeah. You just started the role. I mean, what has your first 3 weeks been like?
Yeah, it's been a fun start. We've mostly getting to know the company, getting to know the guys, trying to meet all of our partners, a lot of potential partners, and just starting to put together a plan on where we can go from here.
For those not familiar with Dude Perfect, so this big, beautiful podcast is going to go on to Yahoo Finance, 150 million viewers every month, biggest in the world, like investors. Like, what is this platform?
Yeah, Dude Perfect, 15 years ago, it was 5 guys who were roommates at Texas A&M doing trick shots in their backyard. They started posting those videos and kind of connected with an audience, and it built from there. 15 years later, we're at the end of November opening our third headquarters in Frisco, Texas. That is I can describe it as a teenager's dream house.
Sounds like giant theme park.
It is a basketball, football, every sport you can imagine in our backyard, and it's just amazing to see what these guys have built over the last 15 years, being one of the first big groups on YouTube to now having their own kind of palace of sports is a really exciting thing to have seen. We have 60 million subscribers on YouTube.
Massive.
But we've also, and this is all preceded the last 30 days. This is a real business in real life too. They've sold out arena tours. We've done more than 50 sold out shows at NBA-sized arenas. We had a New York Times bestselling book. We have had a top-selling toy in Walmart last year during holiday season, and are launching a new toy line this fall. So more than just sometimes it's perceived as trick shots. We've now become really a full-scale media company, and it's my job to grow it to be even bigger.
I'm gonna flip this pen. I'm gonna get it to stand up on the floor. No, definitely not.
That's not what I'm good at.
I'm not gonna do that to where we tape here at the NASDAQ. So this is your. You weren't plucked out of thin air. You spent many years at the NBA, but this is your first CEO job. Like, that's got to carry some weight to it, right?
It is my first CEO job. It's also the first CEO at Dude Perfect. So we're carving a path there. But I take a lot of pride and responsibility in that this is a really meaningful company to the guys and millions of families across this country. And so I take that responsibility very seriously.
How are you building out your team? Like, what do you look for?
Yeah, the way I think about it is we're building a sports franchise. I have the revenue streams that we're going to have are ticket sales. We're doing a 25 stop live tour in 20,000 seat arenas. Our sponsorship business. We have media business and content business, obviously. We have a merchandise and apparel business. Those are the exact same revenue streams that we had at the NBA that the Charlotte Hornets have, and so we're building out a team that will likely reflect what a sports franchise or other similar asset would look like. And so we'll have obviously CFO and head of sponsorship sales and brand partnerships, community management, content, product licensing.
Got a lot of jobs to fill.
We got a few jobs to fill. We're going to build the team thoughtfully, but there's a lot to do, and we're really excited about our growth plan.
So is this a $100 million business in sales? Like, are you there yet?
We don't reveal numbers specifically, but we're very happy with the financial performance. We're quite profitable.
Profitable.
Yeah, we raised the company raised some outside capital, and we're investing that in growth areas that we think can be really meaningful for the business.
Is the main driver, is it the content, or is it these arenas that you're selling on?
It's a mixture of both, but I would say brand partnerships is kind of the main lifeblood, both in terms of advertising and then in terms of sponsorship, and that's both on our content and then on our broader business.
What is the magic to some of these videos? Like how do you create a video that gets almost 500 million YouTube views?
Yeah, I will give the 5 founders all the credit. They have an amazing connection to their audience. They really live and breathe their brand. And these creators, these companies don't work unless they're truly authentic to who they are. You can't fake it for 15 years. And so these guys have built this, who they are. And there is that connection. They know what their audience is going to want, what is going to resonate. And they have learned that through trial and error, through success and failure. But once they find something that works, they really have an amazing creative ability to double down on that. And so I'm very willing to let them be the creatives and continue making amazing content that families and people across the world love.
It feels right to mention this. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit us with those likes. Opening bid on the platform. It feels like a natural extension of what Andrew's doing.
And subscribe to Dude Perfect too as well. We have lots of great content coming soon.
See, I like the content sharing in real time. That's
Yes.
pretty good. So if I had to, is this just a look at a 21st century media company, something different?
Yeah, I think people underestimate how big YouTube is. There's a Nielsen Gauge report, which I think that first came out this summer. YouTube is the biggest media platform in the US in terms of consumption, bigger than Netflix. It's more than 10% of all consumption is on YouTube, and that's growing quickly. It's also the biggest outside the US. At the NBA, 80% of our YouTube consumption was outside the US. And I think we could see something similar at Dude Perfect as we ramp up our international growth efforts. It's massive. It is how people under the age of 34 primarily consume content. And so this is where media is going, and where we, I think, have been a leader in that space for the last 15 years, one of the first big creator groups on the platform. And we anticipate being a leader in that space going forward as the platform continues to grow and we continue to grow alongside it.
When I consume your content, the videos on YouTube, I'm left feeling pretty good. I'm like, I don't know, there's not all negative stuff in here. I mean, they're flipping cups, they're doing all this other cool stuff. But do you think media has that lane where people want some happy, family-friendly stuff? It's overdue.
I do think there is a real gap in the media landscape. I think it's one reason why live sports in general has done well, and I think it's why our content has done well, is there is an opportunity and a big need for family-friendly, for sort of 4-quadrant as it's described, parents, kids, boys and girls to watch together. And I think I have kids 5 and 3. There's a lot of kids content out there that they want to watch. There's a lot of adult content. There isn't that much content in the middle for families to watch together. And we think that's what we can be. And we think that's what we are. I mean, you go to one of our shows and it is thousands of screaming, 8 to 14-year-olds, but their parents are having a great time too. And that's something that's really important to us, that the whole family can sit around and watch. And I watch a lot of Dude Perfect content with my kids, and we all love it.
So how do you create more dudes? I mean, you have these 5 content creators. I mean, how do you carbon copy them? Because nobody lives forever. I mean, how do you just ingrain what they've created into the ethos of the company?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely something I'm very focused on, and they're very focused on as well. And I don't think it's that we want to copy them necessarily. I think we're looking to grow our talent base. I think a couple of the ways we think about that. One is new verticals. So how do we get into other areas that naturally fit the Dude Perfect brand? They're things like video games and outdoors and other sports that might be natural extensions of our brand, and we'll probably work with talent that makes sense in those verticals to help, bring additional audience and bring additional brand partners and bring additional content to our platform. And I think there's other content formats that we could look to do that might expand who talent might be. There are things like, there are game shows out there where we can find new talent. And cool. So, those are all things that we're going to explore in my second 30 days.
Second 30 days. So what do you think about the cost of content creation? Because look, from the news business perspective, it's been cut back dramatically, in part because of high costs. Like, what is it like in your domain?
One of the things we're really good at is efficient production, but it doesn't, I think there's often a perception that means shot on, phones and not edited and posted really quickly. Like, we spend a lot and spend weeks on production and editing. We've had trips to Australia and Africa and all across the world to shoot videos. We have a really exciting one coming from San Francisco that is posting in a couple of weeks that, we flew 15 people in to produce an episode. All that being said, again, we're quite profitable and we can do so efficiently. I think one of the opportunities that streaming platforms and others have looked to is, well, this whole kind of creator base has a way of producing content that in many ways is equivalent to network TV quality in a much easier to produce and more efficient way. We're producing a 30-minute variety show. We've had 50 episodes of it that has multiple segments and could appear on a network TV channel, and you wouldn't think twice about it. And I think there's often a misperception around the quality and the amount of production effort we're putting in.
Is one of the tricks out in San Francisco that one of the dudes figure out how to bring down gas prices? Like, it's so bad. I just got back from out west, man. It was like $7 a gallon. I'm like, what is going on here?
We're lucky to be located in Texas.
All right, fair enough. All right, hang with us, Andrew. We're going to go off for a quick break. We'll be right back on Opening Bid. All right, we're having a great chat here with literally the new CEO of Dude Perfect. Company just raised, $100 million? Like, what is that like?
That was reported.
That's a huge slug. What do you use that for?
We're looking at a number of investment areas.
From High Mount Capital, right?
High Mount Capital, yes, is the main investor who the company raised money about 6 months ago. We are looking, it's really growth capital. As I said, we're quite profitable, but there's growth capital to get us into new business lines to expand our talent base. Some of the new areas, we're building out our live experiences business. Like I said, there's a tour, but I think there's more that we can do in that area. Toys has been a really successful category for us, just given our audience.
Like action figures?
Everything from last board game last year to we'll have some what we're calling our backyard toy line launching this year that'll be really exciing.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, more details to come on that soon.
Okay.
But the and then video games is a category that I think is really exciting for us.
So do you partner with like a Hasbro, Mattel, and like Electronic Arts, or you're just creating these things yourself?
It'll depend on the category, and obviously I'm still in the exploration phase in a lot of these areas. We're looking to work with great companies who are aligned for our values and our brand, and really focused on premium, family-friendly entertainment and quality. But we'll have any conversation about what makes sense in a given category. Some areas we're going to work with existing providers, and some areas we're going to do it ourselves.
You spent almost 10 years at the NBA?
Yeah.
Take us through some of your roles there, to the extent you could. And sports is really, it's having another moment. The valuations, you have private equity buying into NFL teams. You have just the rise in women's sports again, which has been absolutely phenomenal to see. But what are some of your thoughts on what's happening?
Yeah, so I started at the NBA in 2010, so I spent quite a while there. I worked across a number of roles. Most recently, I led the content team, so I oversaw social, digital, and original content, which included our social media platforms, which makes sense for my current role, our app and streaming service, and our documentary content business. And then before that, I was the head of strategy for the NBA, so oversaw all our new business initiatives and our corporate strategy. I think live sports is here to stay. I think people are looking for unifying elements in our society and continue to gather around live sports in a way they don't gather around much else. And the value of those rights is just continuing to increase. I think you saw it from the recent NBA deals. I think you'll see it, in the interest in the NFL and Netflix for Christmas, which is going to be exciting, except for my friends at the NBA. I think, I think that is a category that's going to continue to grow. I think women's sports is another really interesting one, and one that we at Dude Perfect are very focused on as well, in terms of how we can expand our audience, expand our horizons, and
like a huge opportunity.
Enter the space a little bit more directly. So we're looking at some opportunities there right now, and I think it's an area for investment for sure.
Before I get to my next question, of course, I have to give out shout out to the Yahoo Sports team. My man Ryan Spoon leading the charge there, and his team. I mean, they do awesome stuff. I mean, I think they just launched like a UFC show. I mean, they're killing it. What do you think? What are your thoughts on, the streaming players getting into like live? I mean, you mentioned Amazon with the live. With football game in the fourth quarter, I think. Is that the end game here? I mean, sports is just going to be controlled by like really big tech companies?
That I will, leave up to the powers that be. I think what ESPN and others are doing is still very impressive. I'm excited to see what the future of the linear networks look like too. But clearly, all of the platforms are making significant investments in sports as a category, and I think it speaks to the value of our audience. It speaks to the need to get younger fans interested in sports, and I think that's a critical role that we play. We are one of the biggest brands in the world for 8 to 16-year-old sports fans, and I think we at the NBA and every other sports league and team is wondering, how do we get kids to engage with our game? It's the consumption patterns have changed a lot.
Get them off the phones, man.
Yeah, they're not sitting down and watching 2.5 hours of live sports like I did as a kid, and they're watching a lot of Dude Perfect content.
So are you going into streaming? You have a streaming app already?
We do. We have a connected TV app. Download it now. Dude Perfect. It's called Dude Perfect.
Well, I'll change you. Download the Yahoo Finance app, okay? Because we're streaming on that thing too. All right,
there's plenty of room for both.
There's plenty of room for both.
We do. It's a kid-safe app that we think has all Dude Perfect content. It premieres a day earlier on the app versus on YouTube. We're bringing in some of our, favorite other creators onto the platform, like Mark Rober, who's done an amazing job on YouTube as well. And we think it can really be a home for Dude Perfect content and the Dude Perfect experience long term.
What's kid safe? Kid safe. How do you define that?
So it's the advertising is COPPA compliant, and so it limits sort of who could be an advertiser on the platform to those that meet a certain criteria. And then all of our content and any other content that we approve for the platform is going to be very family friendly, and that's something that I think our brand stands for, and we take very seriously the trusted relationship we have with parents.
Does AI, is that going to change? And not to ask the boilerplate AI question, but I mean, it's impacting all our industries.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that impact your business over the next 12 months?
It's something that I spent a lot of time with it at the NBA. At the NBA, we were a much more scaled content business. We were producing thousands of hours of content a month. And so AI was critical from an editing standpoint, from a translation standpoint, from a production standpoint. Given we're a bit more premium, kind of more of our content is bespoke at Dude Perfect, the approach is a little bit different. But I think it affects us all in a lot of different ways. We're using it for brainstorming. We're using it from a design basis to help us envision what sets might look like or what products might look like before we spend $1 on any sort of product design or manufacturing. We can tweak it and envision it in a lot of different ways. So we're spending a lot of time with the various AI platforms, and I think we view that as an opportunity to make us more efficient.
What's the details in the new headquarters? It sounds like a giant theme park.
It is for me. We're opening later this fall our new headquarters in Frisco. Like I mentioned, it's tens of thousands of square feet. It is every sport that you can imagine. we've used it already, some sneak previews for some guests of ours who have been absolutely floored, both athletes and business partners who have had the time of their life at offsites at our office. And so we're looking forward to using it as a hosting location. We also are building a world-class production studio there. It's basically a sound stage with best-in-class technology, with top-end providers that we're going to use for our content, and that others in the Dallas area are going to use for their content. And we're building a live experiences space there too, so that our fans are going to be able to touch and feel the brand. And that's probably to come in the future, but something we're very excited about building.
What is it like working? I mean, you're only a couple weeks in. What is it like working with founders?
It's I can't speak to all founders. I can speak to my founders, and they're awesome. It was a critical element for me in making the decision to leap from the NBA, which is a great place to work and a very stable place to work, to something different. They are so authentic to what they want the brand and the company to be. They will also be the first to admit that starting a company with your 5 best friends can lead to some challenges. And so they're really excited for me to come in and make a lot of those decisions on their behalf.
How do you fit in with them? Like, I mean, they're out, they're creating content, and you're like, are you gonna tell them no? Like, can you tell them no?
Well, I think the most important thing is we're incredibly aligned from a values perspective, and that was something in the discussion process we spent a lot of time on, that while they have their strengths, I have my strengths, they have an amazing connection and ability to entertain. I have other strengths besides that. I'm not going to be throwing a ping pong ball in your water cup.
But you could.
I might. That we're aligned in what we want the company to be, and how we want to get there, and that the values of trusted content, family entertainment, fun, and sports. That's something I've spent the last 15 years on, and that's something they've spent the last 15 years on. And so I think the alignment there is really solid, and that's the most critical element. Everything else we can figure out if those things are true.
In about a minute and a half we have left, I've convinced myself that you're going to be a public company, or big things are going to happen to you. So we got to get to know you a little bit. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
I'd probably still be at the NBA.
Okay.
No, I'm a big believer in the category in general. I think that the future, YouTube and creator-led content is where we're going to continue to see growth in the media space, and in the digital media space in particular. And so it's just really exciting to work in a space that is continuously growing, where there's a lot of excitement, where there's a ton of innovation, and there's some uncertainty and there's some risk. And people often ask me, what are the comps for, how do you know you're going to be successful? What creator has built a big business off a pure content channel? And I say, well, someone has to be first.
That's a good answer.
This is the first time that there has never been a creator economy before. No one's ever lasted 15 years as a creator before. We've really been the pioneers in this space, and I think we have all of the elements necessary to succeed going forward.
Well, I look forward to continuing to follow your journey. Fascinating company. Go get some executives on your executive team. Let's get this done here.
We're hiring.
Yeah, my friend. Okay, fair enough. Andrew Yaffe, Dude Perfect's new CEO. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate you coming on down.
Thanks so much.
All right, and that's it for the latest episode of Opening Bid. Hit us with those 5 stars on Spotify, likes on YouTube. Just keep sending us that love. We'll talk to you soon.